A massive move by the government today. It rolled out a radical short-term recruitment scheme for the armed forces. The policy is called Agnipath, and under the new model, young men and women will be inducted as Agniveers, a new distinct rank. They will also wear a distinct insignia as part of their uniform. The soldiers recruited under Agnipath will be released from service after 4 years with a severance package of over 11 lakh rupees. There's a provision for retaining around 25% of them after another round of screening. There will be a re-enrollment. At the launch, Defence Minister said the scheme will make the Army's youth oriented, modern and tech-savvy.
आज का अग्निपथ नामक एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव योजना हम ला रहे हैं, जो हमारी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस में ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव चेंजेस लाकर उन्हें फुली मॉडर्न और वेल इक्विप्ड बनाएगी। अग्निपथ योजना में भारतीय नौजवानों को बतौर अग्निवीर आर्म्ड फोर्सेस में सेवा का अवसर प्रदान किया जाएगा और यह योजना देश की सुरक्षा को मजबूत करने व हमारे युवाओं को मिलिट्री सर्विस का अवसर देने के लिए लाई गई है।
Well, let's be honest, for a move like this, which is being tested out in India for the first time, there are worries and there is also a bit of pessimism. In fact, there are several experts, there are ex-servicemen who have got concerns about what this will do to the readiness, to the morale of the armed forces. However, of course, then there is the other side, the political narrative around this move, about Agnipath, talking about how this is nothing more than a short-term fix to a long-term solution which will result in long-term damages.
सबसे बड़ी बात है, हमारे युवा जो हमारे देश का भविष्य है, जब वो सेना में रहेंगे, सशस्त्र बल में होंगे, तो उनका आत्मविश्वास भी आसमान छुए। वो एक बेहतर नागरिक बनके, चाहे वो 4 वर्षों की बात हो या उसके बाद भी, जब वो समाज की मुख्य धारा में जुड़ेंगे, तो उसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ देश समाज को भी मिलेगा।
ये डिफेंस सर्विसेज और देश के सुरक्षा व्यवस्था के साथ फिर एक और खिलवाड़ हो रहा है। जो इसके विशेषज्ञ हैं, जो सेना के चीफ रह चुके हैं, उन लोगों की राय ये है कि 8 साल कम से कम लगते हैं ट्रेनिंग देने में, तो ये 4 साल की ट्रेनिंग देके ये क्या हासिल करना चाहते हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Okay, joining us on the debate, Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Colonel Dinny, Defence Analyst, Dr. Sumansi Raman, Political Analyst, and Lieutenant Colonel Anil Duhoon, Army Veteran. Lieutenant Colonel Duhoon, let's start with you. What are your concerns?
Hi, good evening, Padmaja, and good evening, the panelists and the viewers. First and foremost, I would like to ask, is this decision a political decision or this decision is a military decision? If it is a political decision, my point is why the military bosses are not taken into confidence. Second, in case it is a military decision, then I would like to know, was it ever discussed in any of the Army Commanders' conferences? If not, then how this decision has been reached is my question. Number 2, a Sipahi or a soldier is not all about Savdhan, Vishram and salute. It takes at least 2 field postings for a Sipahi to become battle-hardened and to become a fighting soldier. A soldier is not a soldier. He is not a darban. He is not a security guard. He is a fighting machine for us. It is the man behind the machine which is what we look at. This soldier gives his life or takes the life of enemy on naam, namak and nishan for his company, for his unit. In most of the cases, he would not even be aware as to what are the political aims or what are the strategical aims or what are the military aims.
Okay.
He fights the battle for naam, namak, nishan. Now when we have these contractual soldiers or tour on duty, or so to say, the tourists, what do we expect? Fine. Let's hope that all goes good and they proved to be very good soldiers.
Okay, so you started with 2 points, sir. Just a second. Let's have them answered one by one. The political question you will take Sanju Verma, and the tactical question Colonel Dinny. Was this a political decision or a strategic decision, Sanju Verma?
Padmaja, when a democratically elected government of the day takes a decision, it is a decision in the larger interests of the nation. So to compartmentalize it and say whether this was a military decision or a political decision, with due respect to the earlier gentleman, is trying to, sort of not look at the larger picture. I would add by saying that if you look at the statement given by Rajnath Singh, the Defence Minister, he gave the statement along with the Chief of Army, Chief of Navy, and the Air Force Chief. So I would tend to believe that the armed forces were taken into confidence. In any case, I don't think the Modi government has the habit of making unilateral decisions without taking into account the confidence of these stakeholders in question.
Okay.
And please read the larger press note out. It clearly says pan-India merit-based recruitment. Point number 3, we have a situation in the US where you have civilians who serve in the armed forces for a limited period of time, and then they go back to taking up jobs either in the banking space, in the corporate space. They could go on to become doctors, scientists, what have you. And I think, many countries internationally have followed this practice, where people are trained for a limited period, they're recruited into the armed forces for a limited period, but that in no way diminishes the overall defense capabilities of the nation concerned. So for you to question what the Modi government is doing,
so you're saying
I think that is
all
being
stakeholders were taken into confidence. You are saying that on record that all stakeholders were taken into confidence?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
now let's come to Colonel Dinny before Colonel Duhoon responds to that. Colonel Dinny, will 6 months of training and only 3.5 years of service reduce the quality?
Ma'am, first of all, let me put it in this way, that, that ever since 1947, we have seen the warfare, the nature of warfare change. We have seen equipment change. We have seen technological changes. But what we have not seen is human resource management of the Indian Armed Forces. We have continued to carry the baggage of the colonial, whatever it was given to us, in the same manner. Not much change has happened as far as the human resource aspect was concerned. And to the point that today, I'm sure Colonel Duhoon also would agree that there are issues in human resource management. I'm completely, all those veterans who are raising the concerns, I completely understand their point, and I genuinely believe that they are also speaking in the best interest of the organization. However, they also would agree that there are serious issues as far as the human resource management in the army, especially, and in fact in the battalions directly, which I myself have commanded, I know that there are issues of human resource management concern. Now, how do we go about changing that? Now, Colonel Duhoon also mentioned about a Sipahi, and rightly so, and he's not a, he's just not there for any ceremonial, he's there as a fighting machine. Now, from my personal experience, let me tell you that the Sipahis or the new recruits are the most motivated, the most Josh type, and these are the people who actually do the results along with the young officers. It is the young officers who had won the Kargil war, and those young officers.
But Colonel Dinny, tell me this: will they have as much Josh, as you call it, if they know that after 4 years they'll be out?
Ma'am, let me tell you, and let me put it on record, that there are many people whom I know from villages who are ready to serve for not even a penny. They just say that allow us to serve, we don't want even a penny. So this question of whether they will get pension and all is, it is not a question which comes to the mind. I know that it is a materialistic world. People do mind that, but once they are in the army, you can take it that people who are motivated are the junior most people.
And actually, barring the fact that there are no pension benefits, the actual money in hand during the 4 years that they would be there is much more than the current standard. What do you make of the 2 replies you got, Colonel Duhoon? Then I'll bring in Sumansi Raman. Yes.
Well, Padmaja, what Colonel Dinny has said, I don't know which arm he belongs to, but I belong to infantry where
I am also from infantry, sir. Sorry, interrupting you, sir. I am from infantry, Rajput, pure regimental unit, sir.
Okay. So any infantry officer would vouch that a Sipahi to become a soldier takes 7 to 9 years minimum. He does not become battle hardened. He is good for ceremonial guards and duties till about 3 to 4 years of service. But if I have to take somebody in an ambush or for a patrol, or if I have to send him on a special mission, I will not take chances with the tools. I will not.
Colonel Duhoon, since the scheme has just started, I would very respectfully request you, let's not already call them tourists and, demean a service which has just been instituted. This is not fair.
May I please?
While you have concerns, just a second. Let the two infantry officers speak to each other for a second. Do you agree? Before 9 years, you can't really expect a soldier to be a fighting machine.
It all depends upon, ma'am, as I said, 6 months of training, motivation plus good leadership. You can make a soldier out of him. Even after 9 years, with poor motivation, bad leadership, you cannot make a good soldier. So it all boils down what kind of a person he or she is, what kind of motivation he or she has, and what kind of leadership they get. If given right leadership, I'm sure people, and I'm speaking from personal experience in Ladakh, I've seen youngsters less than 2 years of service doing outstanding job, and people who were much more senior, because they were, that much more, I'm not, casting an aspiration on everybody, but there were genuine concerns because of the health issues and other issues. They were a little more, less prone to taking risks. So I think it depends upon the leadership and what kind of motivation you can provide to them.
Okay, now let's come to Colonel Suman Siraman. Yes, sir. What is your concerns about this?
Padmaja, two things. I mean, one of the primary objectives is to reduce the overall pension bill for the armed forces. And clearly, this seems to be a step in that direction. And how do we do that? We do that by, recruiting the Agniveer. Now, there are two big concerns. One is obviously the concern of morale. One is we do not know how stringent the entry criteria are going to be. The less stringent they are, then it's going to be, you're not going to be able to get the real kind of qualitative, the quality that you require to be able to, deploy.
But you just had Colonel Dinny answer that, saying that largely it would depend on the nature of the person and the leadership.
No, that is after that. No, I'm talking about the people who are actually applying. What he is referring to is the training what they get once they are actually recruited. I'm talking about the people who are going to actually apply for these if the entry criteria is not too stringent. Second,
but the entry criteria is as stringent, isn't it, Colonel Dinny? The entry criteria is as stringent.
We don't know. We don't know if there are going to be, assessment of their psychological abilities and so on.
Okay.
We do not know.
No, sir, there are details about that. Sanju Verma will answer it. Just a second. So there is not going to be a relaxation. Let Sanju Verma answer. It's a direct question.
Let me finish my
point. Sir, let's answer it. Let's answer one by one our questions. We're having a civilized debate. Let her answer. Yes. Sanju Verma.
Padmaja, I think the big concern amongst panelists here and even otherwise, since the announcement was made, is that maybe we are compromising on the quality of the armed forces by taking in people on a contractual basis for 4 years. And, most people feel that experience is what counts, and youngsters do not have the experience or the capability to be a part of this entire process. So I just want to quickly say a couple of things. It will take me 20 seconds. I have a list here of the 10 Kargil war heroes who have been decorated with either Paramveer Chakra or the highest honor posthumously. Captain Vikram Batra, who attained martyrdom in his mid-20s. You had Grenadier Yogendra Singh Yadav, again given Paramveer Chakra posthumously. You had Lieutenant Manoj Kumar Pandey of the Gorkha Rifles, again barely in his 20s, given the Paramveer Chakra. You had Lieutenant Balwan Singh, Mahavir Chakra. You had Major Rajesh Singh Adhikari.
But what's your point, ma'am?
Into his 20s. And given the Paramveer Chakra, my point is this. Most of our decorated war heroes from Kargil are people who were barely in their mid-20s and gave the supreme sacrifice for the nation. So let us not question the credibility of our youngsters. Let us not say that experience matters, but youth can be discounted.
Okay, the slight difference in that example is because here it's not about the age of the people, it is about how long they are trained for. I think that is the concern being raised. But Colonel Dinny, please clarify this. As far as I know, there is no relaxation of criteria for entry and recruitment, is there?
Absolutely, ma'am. That was what I think was made clear, that there will be no drop in standards as far as the recruitment standards are concerned. And even the training, what was mentioned was that training also would be done in such a manner that there will not be a drop in the standards, training standards. So but one thing I'm very clear, that the recruitment policy will not undergo a change. The bare minimum requirements will be the same. That will not be diluted. That cannot be diluted.
There are 2 points.
Fitness standards, recruitment standards, recruitment process is not going to be diluted.
Look. First of all, this entire concept, you already have the concept of a short service commission in the army, which has been there for very many years.
That is for officers, sir.
That is for officers. No, I'm just coming.
This is for Jawans.
No, I understand, Padmaja. The point I'm saying is,
you are not even aware of the basics.
One by one, please let him ask the question.
Finish my point.
Okay, now we'll just go into Tutu Mema. One by one, please. Let him finish his question. Go on. Finish your question.
My point is, like you have a short service commission where the officers have a certain fixed tenure and you do not dilute any kind of standard, and definitely they are having the option of going in for a long tenure should they want to at the end of that particular period. That could have been thought of. But here is a situation where 75% of them are going to be out and many of them at the age of 21. What will they do? I mean, what kind of
so
a tenure?
Actually, the defense minister and the chiefs were very elaborated on that at length when they said that.
What happens to them?
What happens to them? They will get a diploma. There will be an additional benefit they get for further recruitment in other arms or in corporate jobs. That being said, Colonel Dinny, do you think this is really feasible? And how many of them will really get absorbed into any other, say, the police or the para or even in private companies? In principle, sounds great. Do you think this will happen?
The question is to me, ma'am?
Yes, Colonel Dinny.
Ma'am, see, we must understand that the majority of our troops come from the villages still. Now, imagine a boy coming from village. At the age of 18, he joins particular scheme. At the age of 22, he comes out. He's a very average and even rather below average kind of a family. He gets 30,000 rupees per month for 4 years, and at the end of 4 years, he comes back with 12 lakh rupees in a village. Do you mean to say that there is no impact on his life, on his economic life, on the well-being of his family? He can build a house, he can start something there in his doesn't. I mean, we all know how the village functions. A 12 lakh rupees with the person coming back at the age of 22, the whole world is open to him. And apart from whatever is maybe his sister's marriage, maybe his house, all these things can be taken up. So we must understand that it is not that everybody goes to corporate world. Not all officers also don't go to corporate world. But this is the kind of social changes which is there.
Okay, we are not going to, let's just say we are going to sit on the fence on this, but the fact is this is a big move that has been made. Could there be problems? Sure there could. Are there concerns? Yes, they need to be addressed. But the fact is, it's here. It will definitely provide employment and it will definitely skill a group of people and send them out in the world, making them eligible perhaps for entrepreneurship, for changing their lives, and we'll keep a close eye on the concerns that remain and how they're addressed. For the time being though, thank you very much for joining us with your expertise. All gentlemen, Sanju Verma. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.